So today we are going to talk about, first of all, xerophytes, then we'll talk about mesophytes and hydrophytes. Now, the xerophytes, these are the plants that live in extreme conditions. Now, these are the plants that live in desert. Now, when these plants, they are living in desert, they have minimum amount of water supply. Water will only be available if there is some rain, right? And it happens very scarcely in the desert, right? So what are the adaptations present in these plants to conserve water so that they can survive for a long period of time, right? For understanding the adaptations of the xerophytes, I'll give you guys few examples. First example I'm going to give you is of the cactus plant, and with that we'll discuss its adaptations. Now let's suppose that this is a cactus plant, and this is the soil surface, right? Now, this is what the cactus plant looks like. Now, on the cactus plants, do you guys see these thorns or spines, right? So all these structures over here, these are the adaptations which can help in survival. The first thing which we are going to discuss is that this is a thorn, which is actually a reduced leaf, right? Leaves, they are reduced into thorns or spines. Let me write over here that leaves are reduced to thorns or spines. Now, what is the benefit of it? As the leaves, they are reduced into small thorns and spines, the first benefit, it decreases the surface area, so there is less transpiration will happen, right? So it will help in conserving water. So what is the first benefit? That it reduces the surface area, so less transpiration takes place. So as there will be less transpiration, so there will be less loss of water and more conserving of the water, whatever water is available to the plant. When we reach there. Next thing wise, if you see that I drew these lines, now there are ridges and furrows in a cactus plant. Have you guys seen a cactus plant?
Yes.
There is a heightened area and there is a deep area. I am calling them as ridges and furrows. Let's suppose that these are ridges and these are what? Furrows. Now when there will be a ridge, a higher area, a heightened area, when the sunlight, it will fall from this side, let's suppose, the area which is furrow, which is deep, that will have shadow. That will have shadow. Only the area which is heightened, which is raised, which are actually ridges, they will be in sunlight. The other area, which is the furrow, that will be in shadow, right? So the ridges, they will be under sunlight and they will have what? Shadow. It means that half of the plant is in sunlight and half has shadow. And the area which will be shadow, there the temperature will be what? Low. Right? And because of the low temperature, the rate of transpiration in that area will decrease. Understand? So what is happening? That because of the shadow, or the shadow areas will have low temperature. so less transpiration will take place. Understood? You guys have learned about the transpiration, that there are factors that affect the rate of transpiration, and one of the factors is what? Heat. Right? Or sunlight. When the sunlight falls onto an object, the sunlight changes into heat energy. Right? So that you see shadow area will have less transpiration. Next thing, that in the stem, you see this stem is fleshy stem. Now, have you guys seen aloe vera plant? Yes. Now, what do? That they take out aloe vera gel from it, right? Definitely used for beauty purposes, right? And for some medicinal purposes as well. Now, the inner jelly-like area, that is called fleshy area. And why it is jelly-like? Because it has stored water in it. Understand? So same, when I am saying that it has fleshy stem, so it means that the stem stores water in it. Understand? So another way of conserving water. Whatever water is available, it is stored inside the stem. Next thing was that these plants, they have sunken stomata in pits. Stomata sunken in pits. So first of all, what is the meaning of a pit? Something deep, right? So what happens, let me show you guys with the help of a diagram. That let's suppose that this is the surface of this cactus plant, right? So there are pits, the deep areas.
So this is only on the top or anywhere?
Sorry?
Is this only on the top or anywhere?
No, all around. Right? So what are these? These are pits. And in these pits, over here, what are present? Stomata are present. So let me show the stomata over here. Right, boys? So what are these? These are stomata in pits. Now question is, what is the benefit of having stomata in pits? Benefit is that when the water will evaporate from here and the water will come here into the pits. Now if you guys see, the opening of the pit is narrow, right? As the opening of the pit is narrow, so less water will come out by diffusion. Less water will diffuse out. Here these dots I am representing, these are what? Water molecules. So what will happen? These water molecules, they will accumulate in the pits. Water molecules, they accumulate in pits. When these water molecules, they will accumulate in the pits, there will be a lower concentration gradient between the stored water inside the stem and outside, right? Now we have learned that in detail in the diffusion topic, right? As the concentration difference is less, so less diffusion takes place. Understand? Now, this you see, this accumulation of water molecules have increased humidity around it, around the stomata, right? So as the humidity around the stomata has increased because of these pits and narrow opening of these pits, so rate of transpiration will decrease. Very small amount of quantity of the water will diffuse out. Understood? So this is another benefit of having stomata in pits. Understood? Next thing, boys. Look here. These are what? These are roots. Now, if you see that I have made the roots, some of these roots they are above the soil surface, and some of them they are going down. It means that the roots they are shallow and deep and long as well. Shallow means they are not too deep, and deep means that they are going down as well, and they are spreading on a long distance as well. Now, what is the benefit of all these spreading the roots everywhere? Anywhere the water will be available, it will be absorbed. Understand? If the water is deep, it will be absorbed. If the water is shallow, it will be absorbed. Right? Right after rain or small rain, right? Or you see, if it is at some other distance area, it can be absorbed. Understood, everyone? Another very, very important thing, boys. You guys have seen desert. We live in Saudi Arabia, right? Whenever we are traveling from one place to another place, he is not here. Whenever we are traveling through roads, right? A desert comes in the middle. Do you see the desert plants densely populated or sparsely populated? Sparsely. They are far away from each other, right? Now this is another benefit, and it also helps in survival, that when the plants they are far away from each other, there is least competition for getting the water. Understand? So these plants they always stay a long distance away, right? So why? So that you see there will be less competition among the plants to get the water. So when there will be less competition, then they can survive. Another, just 1 minute. Another importance over here which I forgot to tell in the beginning, of the spines. Because of these spines, animals don't dare to eat these plants, right? Now, they are already very few in the desert, right? They are not very in huge number. They are in very small quantity, right? Small in number. So, if they will be eaten by the desert animals, so within days they will be finished, right? So, these thorns, not only they are reducing the surface area for the transpiration, they are also giving protection. That the herbivores or the other animals, they don't come and eat them. Understood? So that is another benefit. Yes, what is your question?
How do they reproduce?
Yes. How do they reproduce? Most of these plants, they are flowering plants. So they produce flowers and then they produce what? Seeds. Right? And their seeds are some kind of special seeds which are dispersed onto a longer distance. Now some of their seeds, they have these feathery-like appearance. Light seeds. Wind can carry them far away. Or some of their seeds have spines on them. What will happen? If an animal come and sit over there, will stick to their body. And then they will go to some other place. They will, you see they will lie down on the ground over there. They will transfer the seeds over there. Understood? So, they reproduce by producing seeds. This is one example I gave you. There are more examples as well. Some of these, you see these desert plants or xerophytes, they have many pits. And other than the pits, they also have hairy structures on them. Small outgrowths like hairs. Now, what is the benefit of having these hairy structures or hair-like growths on the surface of the plant? They help in trapping the moisture. They help in trapping the water from the air. When they will trap the moisture in between these hairs, then what will happen? Humidity just around the plant surface will be higher. Just like as I explained you over here, right? So as just around the plant surface the humidity will become higher, the concentration gradient will be lower. And due to lower concentration gradient, what will happen? Less transpiration will take place. Understood? So this is how these plants, they survive. Understood? So these are the adaptations which you guys need to memorize. Next thing wise, we are going to talk about mesophytes. Now xerophytes were the plants which were present in the habitat. Habitat is the place where an organism lives and survives, right? So xerophytes were the plants which were in the habitat where there was very little amount of water available. Mesophytes are the plants where they have moderate quantity or the moderate amount of water available. It's not too low and it's not too high as well. Understand? So it's a moderate amount of water available. Let me mention over here. Now, these plants can lose some of the water, but still the water is not in high quantity, so they still need to conserve it. So these plants, they also have certain kind of adaptations. Now another thing was which I forgot to tell you over here, that these xerophytes, they have a thick layer of cuticle on their whole plant. Now you guys know that cuticle is waxy cuticle, right? It is transparent, but it is waterproof. So it will not allow the evaporation of water from even the stem. Understood? That also gives the shiny appearance to these plants as well. Understood? Now,
So what is the function?
it is waterproof, so it does not allow the water to evaporate. It prevents the transpiration and helps in conserving water in the plants. Now as mesophytes,
Yes, sir.
yes,
So most of the adaptations of xerophytes are to conserve water.
yes, because without water a plant can't survive. No photosynthesis, no turgidity, nothing at all, right? Because they are the producers. They will not only make food for themselves, but for the rest of the organisms as well. Now, if someone asks a question, sir, that if all the plants finish from the face of the earth, can we survive? Some people say, yes, I will start eating goats or chicken. But think what the goat and chicken eat, right? So eventually goat and chicken, they will also die if there is no plants. So without plants, there is no planet Earth. There is no life on it, right? So without producers, there is no life. Because producers are the ones which are not only making food for themselves, but for rest of the organisms in the world as well, right? So guys, let's suppose this is a land plant. So mesophytes, they are the simple, normal land plants which are present, like you see in Pakistan, all the other world, in the rest of the world, other than desert, right? Now, if you guys know that the upper surface of these leaves, they have layer of cuticle. The upper surface has cuticle. Above upper epidermis, let me write over here more clearly. The question is, and first of all, let me tell that on the lower epidermis there is no cuticle.
So you said there is sometimes.
Yes, sometimes. Now, on the upper epidermis there is cuticle, on the lower epidermis there is no cuticle. Why there is cuticle on the upper epidermis, why not on the lower epidermis? This is a question. Yes.
So in the upper epidermis, the sunlight is hitting.
Very
so
good.
it needs to be protected.
Very good, right? Right, it is on the upper surface, right? directly getting the sunlight, increasing the temperature, a lot of water can evaporate from here. A lot of transpiration can take place, right? So that's why it is provided by the Allah on the upper surface. On the lower surface, cuticle should not be there. I'm saying the word should not be there. Why not? Can anyone tell me? We have learned in the same chapter. If there will be no transpiration, there will be no pulling of water up. Remember that? We learned the transport of water. The main force was what? Transpiration. Because of the transpiration, a vacuum was generated in the xylem, right? And a force of pull was generated. And that is how the water is pulled up. So on the lower surface, there should not be epidermis. Understood? Another thing was that on the lower side of the on the lower surface the stomata are present. On the upper surface there are no stomata. No stomata on upper surface, but there are stomata present on lower surface. The benefit of having stomata on lower surface is that there will be less transpiration as compared to the upper surface. Understood? So these are these plants, they have also developed extensive vascular system, right? And when I'm saying vascular system, it means xylem and phloem for the transport of water and minerals to the leaves, and from the leaves for the transport of food and hormones and amino acids to the other parts of the plants. Understood? Yes, Fizan.
Sir, if there are no stomata on the upper surface, why there is a need of cuticle? No transpiration will take place.
No, transpiration can take place from the cell surface. Right? Even you see, the water can evaporate from the surface of the cell. Because you guys have learned symplast and apoplast pathway. Do you remember or not? What is symplast pathway? Right? And what is apoplast pathway? Cell wall. So water can evaporate from there. So that is why there is need for cuticle on the upper surface. Got it? Now, so this is about the mesophytes. Let's talk about hydrophytes. Sorry, wait just a minute. What? No. Now what is hydrophytes? Hydro means what? Water. So simply these are the plants that live in water. Now as these are the plants that live in water, so they have abundant supply of water, right? They have abundant supply of water. Now there is so much water. Now example is water lily plants, you guys have seen, right? The leaves of these plants, they are floating on the surface of the water. Let's suppose that this is the surface of the water and the leaves, they are floating on it. Understand? Now, they are floating on the surface. So, what should happen to the lower surface? Should there be any cuticle?
No.
Should there be any stomata? Because there can't be any gas exchange because it is directly touching the water, right? So these plants, they have stomata on the upper surface of the leaves. They have stomata on upper surface of the leaves. Another important thing was that these plants, they do not have cuticle. On upper surface of the